All right.
See how much bigger it can get during this game, Nate, because it's a good one between ShoWTimE at the top right-hand side.
Oh, I'm so glad we get to hear that awesome sound effect. And in the bottom left, we have Spatz.
New
got some pretty funky beats for these intros, Paolo.
Yeah, we do. It's a new band as well. They were a little bit more, I don't know, rock heavy last time around.
Yeah.
I don't know, this was kind of rocky, but
we had like pretty strong guitar riffs when it was like WCS Challenger. But I appreciate the shakeup in the music for the show. But interesting times. I mean, for PvP, like as far as like just a general breakdown, real quick. There's a lot of crazy stuff that does happen in this matchup, but we don't really know 100% until the cybernetic score finishes. So there's a little bit of downtime at the start unless we see the early probe go out for the proxy. But is there anything in particular that you're looking for here, Cats? Anything that you like to see in PvP? Anything you don't like to see?
I am very curious as to what Spatz's game plan is going to be coming into this game. I think that last time we saw him, a couple of days ago, he had really nice game plans, really good strategies, but the execution was a little bit lacking. Still, he managed to get ahead a couple of times against an opponent that you wouldn't expect, and now against ShoWTimE, the best Protoss in Germany, I think he has to rise up to the occasion. That's what I'm looking forward to.
D-Mauer, as everyone calls him. At least I think that's how you're supposed to pronounce it. But yeah, ShoWTimE's always been, I think, one of those big pinnacle players for Europe. Like when you think about European Protoss, I mean, how does ShoWTimE not immediately come up, right?
Yeah, first on my list.
Yeah, and same for myself as well. And he's had, when we talk about result performance-wise, it wasn't a very strong period of time, like the last year for WCS for non-Korean Protoss players in general. But he's still always in the conversation. He's still always a threat to take those big maps off. And with the changes that we've been seeing coming into this, of course, our season's starting a little bit later than maybe we originally wanted to, but there's still been a lot of development for Protoss and recent changes with stuff like that shield battery that we got to see even earlier, which also has a big impact on PvP. So I do think that makes it a little bit harder for a player like Spatz, who maybe has to rely on kind of catching ShoWTimE off guard, maybe trying to do some wonky build that doesn't usually work, because it's a little bit easier to defend if you can get that read on it and see it coming now.
Yeah, most definitely. Nice positioning here by ShoWTimE. We'll get, maybe even a whole stalker here. Oh, this is bad.
Can't really start too much worse than that. He is going to try and trade out and at least get the one with his other stalker. Will he be able to get away? I don't think so. He's going to try and use the high ground vision. Nope. And that is an unfortunate loss there for Spatz at the start. Lose 2 stalkers for 1. Meanwhile, ShoWTimE, he does have a couple of sentries already, was the follow-up. So he's going to have, force field's not really as big of a factor, especially since we have a warp prism coming out for Spatz. But with a hallucinated Phoenix, if he sends one out like now, maybe he can get some heads up. But the 3rd sentry coming, it looks like this might just straight up be just that prism, tons of stalkers and try to beat him down strategy. But now he starts shield battery, so I feel crazy.
Yeah, I think it's good to have a prism in general, just to have it on the other side of the map potentially, as well as defense in case your opponent goes for something like the disruptors. Just to defend the very early expansion that you have, I think it's just a good tool. And Spatz is gonna try to be aggressive, so we'll see if that comes into play at all.
Yeah, he does have just the 3 warp gates, so this isn't something like mega crazy. He's going to try and rely on the prism with the pickup micro to get some damage done. Now, we do have several shield batteries in production back home in the natural for ShoWTimE. If he can hold on to this, generally we say that he's in that advantageous position since he's got that money, but steps forward, immediately kills 1 stalker, trying to lift up the rest of his over the force fields. Extremely aggressive positioning from Spatz. Now, keep in mind, ShoWTimE also has not overcharged any of his shield batteries. He hasn't felt the need to invest that Nexus energy just yet. Oh, gets the prism.
Oh no, great micro from the newcomer to start us off. But I mean, ShoWTimE was super ready, and I feel like it's ShoWTimE that has had the better read on this game from the start, Nate. I mean, even with the stalker positioning, that might just be him knowing that Spatz likes this kind of play, and Spatz may be unable to mix it up from his normal play because it just feels like ShoWTimE is, the wall.
Yeah. And this feels like a little bit of a desperation play too. Comes in with 3 adepts, tries to shade to the main. A quick block there from ShoWTimE, but no, you put it beautifully. And it's not like Spatz had necessarily terrible control up until the point where he lost the prism, really, is where everything fell apart, because he had quite a few units inside of it. But also just good reaction from ShoWTimE, not panicking and like slamming down that overcharge on the battery very quickly. I think it's important to note that as good as the battery overcharge can be, it's still 50 energy on your Nexus. It still has a global 60-second cooldown, so you can't spam it. But also, now he has an extra chrono boost if he feels like he wants it to either get his next Immortal out or whatever his other production or infrastructure is going to be building or researching in the near future.
Yeah, I think the battery overcharge is kind of like the clear all the zombies from the map type button, but it only lasts so long, you know? It's like
the artifact from the Wings of Liberty campaign.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you just gotta wait it out, you know. So you gotta be really careful with when you use it, because it's kind of your get out of jail free card. You know, let me reset, let me get another warp in real quick before you come in. But you're right. I mean, you have to be patient with it, because if your opponent doesn't commit, then you're just wasting it.
Yeah, that's tricky. So he's going for the Dark Shrine, right? When behind, as they say, while he takes his natural. But like that natural is halfway done. He's already got the Robo. There is one observer on the map at the moment for ShoWTimE. It is with his army, but I guess what's the best case scenario here? What is Spatz hoping for? To just get a recall to come out from the DTs? The Stalker's going to see maybe this Prism coming in. It's in a blind spot, but
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Is there there is an observer. So yeah, you're right.
He's building another one.
Yeah, I mean,
there you go. The observer literally finished. He showed up. Oof.
Oh, that's rough.
Game 1
and
victory there for ShoWTimE.
Yeah, and he had units waiting. I mean, that was difficult for Spatz. And yeah, my prediction down the drain, Nate. Big surprise.
Yeah. Well, it's okay to cheer for the underdog. Sometimes people like to, we like to try and paint that picture for them that anything can happen. But sometimes we got to respect the skill, and ShoWTimE clearly displayed it well there to take that first map.
You gotta believe sometimes. There's so many underdogs in this tournament, Nate, and they're doing okay. Too, right? It's we don't see them on the ladder is the thing. Like right. I've been in the position where Spatz is, and it really comes down to how much you can feed off of the opportunity, right? Like if he can set his nerves aside and play as well as he can play, I mean, I'm sure the guy has taken plenty of games from ShoWTimE.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, those one-off moments, especially on the ladder, can kind of build that confidence up. But I also think even in like the EPT, like when we see players in the weekly cups able to get close games, even when you can have a close match, and I'll even throw back to like I was talking about like Marine Lord versus Serral, where you don't really expect him to be able to win that matchup, but then slowly over time, you don't know how many times that they're playing that we don't see them right, and they're kind of building up that muscle memory versus their opponent. Oh, what can I get away with here? What could I possibly do there? And especially because we know PvP to be a pretty volatile matchup. That's why they made the change with the shield batteries, so that, you wouldn't just instantly die to something that you didn't see coming. And since that takes a bit of the variation out, I do think it's harder to get an upset. But it's not like he couldn't try to be greedy himself, right? And maybe leverage that defensive buff to try and get an advantage in a different way.
Yeah, I mean, all of these players are very intelligent, so it's a matter of who shows up with better mind games as well. I really thought, or I really still think that Spatz is very capable of it, just because last time we saw him play, I feel like he got ahead on both openers, considerably so. He still managed to lose, but yeah, I'm confident. I like this guy's style. I like his play.
Yeah, and
he can take this game. He's gonna do it, Nate.
I believe. All right, we're going to Eternal Empire for game number 2. ShoWTimE leads the series 1-0. Big fan of Eternal Empire, as I think every Terran should be. Fun map. It's been in there for a little while now, right? It's one of our longer standing maps.
Yeah, since Heart of the Swarm. It was called Cloud Kingdom back then. Or since I think we've had this map. Yeah.
Nothing makes me happier than a map where a tank in your main can protect your natural cats. Nothing makes me happier.
It's the good times. At least there's a rich Vespin gas, so it's a little bit less boring than like the most turtley macro map ever. I
agree. All right, in the top right, trailing 0-1, we have Spatz.
expected to win by most. It is ShoWTimE from Big Clan. So I would not be surprised if we end up seeing Arog Fire and Spatz and so on and so forth, perhaps eventually picked up by Big Clan. That would be cool.
Hell yeah. I mean, that's like one of the cool things, right? Every player has a story to some degree, right? Especially these days with how long StarCraft 2 has been out. I mean, with next month actually, literally a month from today, right? The 27th will be from July, 10 years of StarCraft 2. A lot of these players were kids, right? When this game first came out. I think I remember the stories hearing about Raynor, right? The 13-year-old grandmaster that everyone's like, he's going to be really good when he matures a little bit, when he gets a bit older, has more time in. And obviously we know Raynor's taking the world by storm. So seeing all those players that are coming up and having those weekly cups, having those opportunities to get the practice against the top tier players is what's going to shape and, mold them into being those next tier of ruthless competitors that guys like ShoWTimE are going to have to, keep themselves warmed up and ready for, so they don't lose their place at the top.
Yeah, and updated in the pregame show, I think we were talking about something to this extent, where I think that a lot of players will tend to thrive and appear in new metas, right? Because they figure it out earlier, or just because the skill ceiling is somewhat reset whenever there's new strategies flowing in, right? Because no one knows how to do it exactly. No one has their processes as clean as they could be. And that's, I think, why we've continued to see a rise of talent in StarCraft 2, because the game has remained fresh through patches and whatnot.
Could not agree more with you, Cass. And we have our cyber cores done. Our players are starting to make their first divergence. We have Spatz opening with a Stalker Sentry combination, whereas ShoWTimE going for multiple Stalkers into 2 Sentries. And Spatz did put the pylon next to the gateways of ShoWTimE to try and block and get a little bit of vision, but is going to cancel that as he can't really move out against this. It seems like a relatively safe openers from both sides.
Yeah, ShoWTimE spending the extra gas is going to have the more information as well with those hallucinations. I guess maybe if Spatz had gone for 4 Stalkers, he could move out against this. I have no idea, really. Here comes the first hallucination, though, so he will be gathering the intel. And that's nice, I imagine, to see what your opponent is going first. Or would you rather see later? I'm not sure. What would you rather see, Nate? I
feel like force fields are just so not good once prisms or blink are on the field that just use the energy again if you don't scout that you're about to be attacked, right? Yeah. Or I guess that's like the benefit of ShoWTimE going for the double sentry at the start and then follow up with the third. Like he basically got enough energy to almost chain out hallucinations for info, which I don't even dislike, because if he feels that he's the better player, if he has that confidence, then in your mental planning, you should think to yourself, well, hey, I can give up a small advantage by maybe not going for as many Stalkers or Adepts as I would want, but that's going to allow me to not get caught off guard by anything. So I won't lose for a stupid reason, you could say.
For sure. I mean, it's also 50 less gas compared to, in this case, Spatz, who also went for Stalkers, which are kind of gas heavy, right? Like if you went for Adepts, you would be saving a lot of gas. But yeah, if we look at it as time, it's Spatz that is going to be able to get that robot a little bit faster, perhaps, partially as a result of this. 3 sentries out for ShoWTimE. Very diligent scouting.
And I'm not sure.
These Adepts, I've never seen them do anything in a pro game. Like they always try to shade to the ramp, and
Well, I'll tell you what, man. If trying to play Protoss, it feels like every game on the ladder, every other game is just a guy trying to force Adepts in. And I guess it's like to be on this level, to even reach this point, that's like it's like a speed bump. The Adepts at the start of PvP is just a speed bump thing now, where if you can't pass that skill check, you just instantly lose. But all the players at this level are so good at dealing with it now that they're just like, okay, Adept phase, all right, it's over, let's move on. But I was already noticing like ShoWTimE able to carve out that small worker lead for a little bit. It's just now evening out, but getting that Nexus a little bit earlier is still very nice. We have the Adepts checking. There's a pylon at the third, but it doesn't necessarily mean anything just yet, as Blink is almost done for ShoWTimE.
Oh, going for the probe. Nice little snipe. Oh, the recall.
Cheeky.
Interesting. Yeah.
That's a lot of energy to save one probe, or save one unit, but we'll see if that It makes me nervous. When I think about Nexus energy, I get a lot more nervous these days, Cats, because that shield overcharge is something you always want to have on hand. The chrono boost is also really nice. So I'm like, when I see the recall, I'm like, oh man, is that going to come back to bite him? Is he going to scout this third base and push? And now he can't overcharge?
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, Spatz will see ShoWTimE moving out here with the Stalkers as he also matches third for third. Pretty even game so far. It looks like both players comfortable to go later into the game. Blink's about to finish, so that's why ShoWTimE is so confident here.
Yeah. I do find it interesting. We don't see, or at least I haven't been able to see a tremendous amount of going straight into the Blink. Definitely could be just because ShoWTimE wants to put on that pressure early on. But going for the faster charge and getting into like that meaty charge a lot of Mortal Archon composition earlier can be very strong. If ShoWTimE doesn't do damage, you may not be able to reach that point on his own. And then if you're up against a couple of extra Zealots or there's a couple more Archons, because all that gas that went into the Stalkers didn't go for the other player, that can be tricky. But he's going to kill a Pylon, blink away. And yeah, it's kind of hard to engage when you've got a couple of Immortals there.
Yeah, very nice job from ShoWTimE identifying that he had time to kill the pylon and going for it right away. A little bit unlucky from Spatz, the positioning there. He had just moved his unit, but these two Adepts are finally working out. Ooh, the magic. Ooh, very nice force field.
That one, yeah, that's a painful force field to get locked behind. And they're going to make it to the third. But he recalled the Stalkers there, so they showed up just in the nick of time to shut down that shade. Yeah, but that's nice. Gives him a couple probe lead.
Yeah, and map control with it at least. Like, those Stalkers are not out there dominating. This poor observer, though.
Yeah, almost got away. Almost. We have the Prism coming out for ShoWTimE as his charge finishes. So thinking about the next step, I'm wondering if he's going to try to start with like some Zealot Harass, or if he's going to start up a bunch of gateways to try and make a big push with that. We'll have to see. Prism on the southeast side for Spatz is going to try and look for an opening while the Stalkers are by the Watchtower. And I think he's got a hallucinated Phoenix going by the third. So he sees the Archons, he saw the Immortals. He knows that we're reaching that point of PvP now.
Yeah. How many observers of those, Nate, do you think would have to get away for it to be frustrating enough for us to get another observer nerf to the speed?
Another observer speed nerf?
It almost got away, right? Like how...
It almost got away.
Really,
well, to be fair, it did stop moving after it first got attacked.
Yeah,
so I feel like if it kept moving, he might have had to use a blink, right? Burn a couple extra APM. I don't know.
True. Yeah, it got tickled and it didn't move. That was kind of sad.
That's true. Observers OP and PvP confirmed today, right here, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh yeah. Watchtower being taken. Not a very active game. I'm not sure. Dark Shrine is coming up. Do you think that's gonna make any of a difference offensively? Perhaps. That seems very.
I don't know. Is he scared of a base rate, or does he think his attack's just not gonna work? Because he already has the tech to get Archons, but like these Stalkers are poking now. Maybe that's his place. He's a defensive DT, but he's instead gonna try and push this. Recalls the Zealots.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cute maneuver, right? Like, they got force fielded, and that was a quick recall, but it's almost like you're waiting to make the cute maneuver over a winning play maneuver.
Well, if he was looking to make this attack and didn't think that he had enough to take the engagement, then it was always going to turn out badly. But these Immortals getting chased down is absolutely brutal. I was going to say, it's like, yeah, you can recall to save the Zealots there, but you have Archons. You can just shatter the force fields if you feel like you can take the fight. If all your army was there. So I think a little bit of indecision maybe mixed in there as well. Now this Archon drop in PvP, not something that you see tremendous amount of, and try and bully the Stalkers away, but saving that Prism is going to be quite hard to do if he wants to avoid getting picked off. Okay, he's going to warp the DTs inside his base. There is a cannon in the mineral line though.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he spotted that with the Archons. I guess he did not, because he's not really reacting to it. Blink for the DTs is being researched, but this is looking worse and worse for Spatz. I like the Archon drop idea. I mean, it could kill so many probes, but it feels like a little bit of a desperation maneuver. Somehow he's only trailing 30 supply. I feel like this looked worse than that. Oh, 50 now. Never mind. Okay, it is worse.
Yeah, it's starting to tilt a little bit out of favor. I mean, look at what his army composition is. He has 11 Dark Templar, and as you mentioned, he's getting Shadow Stride. So presumably his entire game plan is to just yeet all of the Dark Templar onto that army at once. But they're Archons. Like, they do bonus damage, they do the splash, so he needs to kill the observers as well. And good luck with that. Or he's
Yeah.
is he just gonna send them all straight to the Nexus?
I don't know, man. I mean, he's gonna do something nice. This is gonna work. The problem is the other attack, right?
Well, he's gonna try to snipe the Nexus.
I mean, he got it. It's wonderful. Like, it's a big investment. If only he hadn't lost all of his army earlier, because now this is the real problem, right?
Yeah, now he's trying to warp in 5 zealots to stop, 60 supply of army in his face. I mean, his cannons finished just in time to die as well. Nah, that's unfortunate.
Not even
Fun